Good morning. It is 8:28 a.m. on Saturday, January 9th, 2021. I'm Christiana Ellis and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. Boy, the news is just not letting up, is it? Um, I'm going to stop talking about it. Rocket, stop. Hey, he's trying to get something off the counter. I'm not even sure what, actually. Um, where was I? I'm not going to keep talking about the daily stuff though. It makes you crazy to try to follow every beat of that stuff. But instead, I'm going to talk about a movie that I watched last night, which came out last year, 2019 maybe. I think I'm not sure. I didn't look it up. But it's called The Farewell. And this is a movie that I watched because it was one of the ones on that the show, the podcast Unspooled was doing. He had his breakfast, but he's acting like he's starving. Um, so, I mean, they decided to watch it and talk about it, which is what inspired me to watch it. But I had heard good things, and so now I've watched it, and it's lovely. So, the premise is that we have Aquafina playing a woman who is living in New York, but she gets told by her family that her grandmother, who still lives back in China, along with a lot of her other extended family, is dying. And so they, lots of the family that has moved to America is all going back to China to be with her. But a key element of that they make sure to, you know, to talk to her about is that apparently in China, it's more common practice that if someone has cancer, you don't tell them. Like the idea of not telling them how sick they are, the theory being if there's nothing to be done anyway, why just make them sad and scared for the last couple of, the last however long they have? And for that matter, it might even not be something that would kill them unless they get all depressed and sad and fearful about it. And so I think that my American perspective hearing that is like, what? That seems awful. Doesn't she have the right to know? And that sort of thing. And that's certainly the main character's initial feeling too. But all of the rest of her family there around the grandmother is insistent, like, no, you absolutely cannot tell her. And so she's going back. And so essentially the idea here is they're having a wedding to kind of cover why everybody's coming back to China to really be with this grandma, because she's supposedly only has a couple of months to live. And so then we have just this sort of like family reunion story where everyone is kind of dealing with that in their own way. And it really covers some interesting stuff about just the, you know, different cultural perspectives, different ways of looking at family, the different reasons that you might keep something secret from someone you love, both good and bad reasons, the effects of what does it do when you keep your emotions buried inside, and at the same time also like really investigating like what are the actual like good reasons why you might do what they're talking about. The idea of you know as much as there's this feeling of saying like, well, she has a right to know, like at a certain point too, though, there is kind of an element of like, you don't want someone else to make that decision for you necessarily, but at the same time there's something there. um I don't know, it's a tricky, interesting question, but it's all explored within a lovely movie that is um, at turns funny and touching. It's not as depressing as you'd probably think based on the premise. Like if you hear the premise and you're like, "Oh God, that movie's going to be so depressing," I would say no, it's really not. not like you're maybe thinking anyway. But it's yeah, it's very good. I highly recommend it. A lot of it is in Chinese with subtitles because, of course, it's about Chinese characters in China. Um, with the you know, America. So I guess I'm trying to remember. Oh, right, yeah. So Aquafina's character, the main character in the movie, was born in China but moved to the United States as a young girl, and so she's grown up essentially just thinking of herself as American. She's an American citizen and so on. But certainly all of her, family's from China, and they're going to be in China. So a lot of the movie is in Chinese. But just in case that's a problem for anyone, I hope not, because if you only restrict yourself to watching 100% English language movies, you're depriving yourself of a lot of lovely movies like this one. So I recommend it highly, and I will talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.